we go. Let's see if this works. Okay. So here we are. Happy Mother's Day, everybody.
Happy Mother's
And I do mean everybody. You don't have to be physically a mother to have mother energy going on in your life and the way you have loved people. So happy Mother's Day to all of us. And we're in our second week of a month of talking about divine doubt. If you were here last week, we started out going inside, looking at our own inner self-doubt and feeling our way around in that. This week, we're taking that and stepping into being willing to be brave enough to express it out in the world, right? The title that the Global Themes team gave this week was Debuting the Doubting Self. When you look at that in print, the word debuting looks like debuting. It kind of made me crazy. I'm going to call this week Exploring Doubt Together, because that's what we're doing here, okay? So, yeah, this willingness to not only explore it inside, but speak it out and see what happens. And luckily, blessedly, we're in a safe space to do that with each other, because that's what United Life is all about. That's what Centers for Spiritual Living as an organization is all about, is creating that safe space to really have the conversation. And that's why what Reverend Sue Ellen read was so perfect for this, because what if we take it in and actually ask ourselves, what do I really believe? Does that need to shift? Do I want to have a conversation about it that takes me even deeper into doing that, working it with each other? And isn't it a blessing that we have partners in that process, that we have a spiritual community that lets us do that work together? Great quote from Pierre Teilhard de Chardin, and I think I have almost learned how to pronounce that over all of these years. Theologian, philosopher. He said, there is almost a sensual longing for communion with others who have a large vision. The immense fulfillment of the friendship between those engaged in furthering the evolution of consciousness has a quality impossible to describe. Well, that's us. That's us together, being willing to be in that friendship and do that work together. And I got to admit, it's easier to do that when everything's shiny, bright, and wonderful and going our way, right? When things get sticky, when things get awkward, when things get, I don't know, it can be harder to be willing to step into that conversation. Experiencing doubt and expressing it is scary stuff sometimes. Because you know what? Doubt is a human experience, but it isn't a comfortable one, right? It's never really a comfortable place to be. And it can make those around us uncomfortable when we express it. We have history with that, maybe in our past, that makes us a little bit shy about willing to say it out loud. The ego feels a whole lot safer when everyone around us thinks exactly what we do, right? I mean, that's some of why we may be hesitant to express doubt, because we may have grown up in a family or a culture or a religious organization that really preferred that we all stuck to the script. And here we are, stretching a little bit. Okay, so as New Thought folks, as teaching and experiencing and playing with this philosophy that we call the science of mind, we may say that we've moved out of that judgy place. But you know what? It can sneak up on us. We have our moments that we still play with that game. We have different names that we give it. There's that absolute wonderful one called spiritual bypass, which is, oh, no, don't go deep. You're fine. You're wonderful. You're the presence of God right here. And yeah, that's all true. And if I'm feeling like, ugh, right now, don't tell me how perfect I am. Be with me in compassion while we do the work together, right? It's a new phrase I've heard recently, showing up in a lot more places than just in centers like this one, and it's called toxic positivity. It's kind of the same thing. It's fine to be positive, but when we slap it over everything, paint it on thick, it's not necessarily helpful, okay? And then we got another one, or maybe this one's just me, and maybe this is my leftover stuff from organizational childhood history, but that is how much better I feel when what I express as my truth is met with absolute agreement with everybody around me. And if somebody expresses something different than my idea of truth, I kind of want to fix them. I kind of want to say, oh, no, think about it this way. Well, maybe that's not my job. Maybe that's my ego talking. Maybe that's the that certainty, that wall of ego certainty that I was talking about last week that's trying to assert itself. Reminds me of, it became a family joke many years ago. Okay, take you back to, I was 20 years old. We had this big old farmhouse that was big enough that we had big parties in it, and we even had roommates sometimes, and often we would have a whole bunch of people sitting in a circle on the floor in the living room talking about how the world worked, what we believed about the universe. And this is many years before I discovered the science of mind. And one of the people that was sometimes in that circle was a guy named Elliot. He was the boyfriend of one of our roommates. And when we were all talking about how the world worked and our philosophy of life, he'd be very quiet for a long time until there was a lull in the conversation, and then he would sit up straighter and clear his throat and say, well, you know you're wrong. And like I say, it became a family joke of when we'd hear ourselves getting into that mode is, well, you know you're wrong. Okay. Fast forward 25 years, and I am in the science of mind, and I'm a practitioner at Santa Fe Center for Spiritual Living. And I'm facilitating a discussion circle that met weekly to take an article out of Science of Mind magazine, because it's got lots of great articles in it, and little plug for that. If you're a new member, you're entitled, if you're a new member of United Life, you're entitled to a free starter subscription of the magazine. Check it out, it's good. Okay. And little backstory on facilitating this group. I have a practice that I figured out many years ago, that anytime I'm teaching a class or hosting a group or counseling an individual or working with a person in prayer as a practitioner, I do a treatment, spiritual mind treatment, our form of affirmative prayer. I do a prayer like that for myself before I enter the situation. And that prayer is about I don't need to figure it all out. I don't need to be right. I don't need to have the perfect answers because divine wisdom within me has the perfect answers. I don't need to get uncomfortable if things look messy or difficult because Spirit's got it. Spirit can hold on to messy and difficult and love us right through that too. And when I do a treatment like that and release that, then I can enter that group and be present for whatever shows up in a way that actually serves everybody. And it feels a lot better for me, too, to not have to stress about, am I doing this right? Okay? So anyway, here's this discussion circle. And for whatever reason, I ended up in a expository mode of explaining why and how I use the principles of science of mind and this practice of spiritual mind treatment, that I stand in this truth of one life, one love, one infinite power. Call it God, but you don't have to. You can use any word you want to. And if it is really infinite and whole and all there is, then it's my life, in me, as me, through me, for me. And if I stand in that and know that, then I can speak my word for what it is that I want to experience in my outer reality. And I can lean into that and expect it because it is the creative energy of that one life being itself as me. And it works. And life is good. And I said that. And one of the people in the circle, who happened to be a woman that was deeply devoted to our center, she showed up every Sunday, she showed up in every group like this, she volunteered all over the place. And she said, you know what? I don't believe that. Sound effect time for the needle across the LP. Scratch! Lynn probably looks like deer in the headlights for a moment. Deep breath. And my ego wanted to go in, no, you gotta believe that, because that's how we do this. This is how it works. And calm down. That's not what I'm gonna speak from. Got quiet. The question that arose, which was a much healthier question, is, explain? Tell me more? And she said, I don't believe in infinite love. I don't believe in that kind of presence. I don't believe in that kind of good. Another deep breath from Lynn. Another inner question that was the right question was, well, then what do you believe? And she proceeded to say, well, I've done a whole lot of reading on quantum physics. I love this idea of matter and energy flowing in and out of each other as one thing being itself. I love the idea of quantum entanglement, that something can happen on the other side of the galaxy and it'll show up here too, because we're all connected. That works for me. I can believe that. And my answer then, also coming from that inner wonderful place, was, well, that's a great thing to stand on and build your system from. And we went on with the circle. Now, I'm telling that story not to tell you how wise Lynn is. So I give myself kudos for being wise enough to get out of my way so that kind of thing can show up. But I also want to point out how wonderful it was that woman felt safe enough in our center, in our circle, with me as facilitator, I'll take credit too, safe enough to say, I don't believe that. Safe enough to express that. Safe enough to trust that we would carry it into conversation and get somewhere with it that benefited all of us. in a way that we walked out of that circle deeper and more filled with, I do believe in good, I do believe in love, and it's okay that someone else is doing it differently to be on that same path of spirit expressing itself, discovering itself through and for and as who they are. The minister that wrote this month's material is Reverend Lydia Joy Lazar Ayers. And they say, in spiritual community, doubt, when shared and explored together, becomes a doorway to deeper faith. When we allow space for our questions and acknowledge the tender edges of what we don't yet know, we create an environment of trust in ourselves, in one another, and in the unfolding mystery of spirit. They also say, working through doubt in community uplifts and inspires us, revealing dimensions of spiritual truth that cannot be reached by simply staying positive or keeping sweet. I love that, keeping sweet. Keep sweet. No, we're willing to go to the tough places together. Doubt calls us into active engagement, deep listening, and a willingness to participate fully rather than passively accept what is handed down. And isn't that richer than just staying up on the surface and glossing over? Told Reverend Sue Ellen, boy, yes, you picked the right reading. Because that's the work we're doing. Maybe throwing something out, being okay with I don't know, while we discover what we do know, while we let divine wisdom and divine guidance and divine love tell us, you got this, you're okay. It's unfolding through you and for you and as you. Maybe in a way you didn't expect it to, but it's good. It's good. And it leads to a kind of authenticity that allows the doubt places and the celebratory places to feel equally empowering. It leads us, under those perfect smiles, to a depth of really being known and seen and appreciated by each other. On the celebrating side, a great quote from Stacy Jean Spear. People need to be encouraged. People need to be reminded of how wonderful they are. People need to be believed in, told they are brave and smart and capable of accomplishing all the dreams they dream and more. Remind each other of this. So, yeah, what if we reminded each other? Turn towards somebody nearby and say, you are brave. You are smart. You are capable. It feels good? Feels good to be given that. Feels good to give that gift. We give each other that all the time just by showing up to be our true selves here, right? And that's not toxic positivity, folks. That's the real thing. That's the real thing, and that's what we're sharing with each other. I'm going to close with a big, long quote from Dennis Merritt Jones. This is from his book, The Art of Being. He says, in Eastern teachings, spiritual community is referred to as Sangha. Sangha is a community of individuals dedicated to creating and sustaining an environment that nurtures and supports reverence, mindfulness, and spirituality as a lifestyle. In Sangha, one of the primary elements created is a feeling of safety. Each one is respected, accepted, and loved as they are. It's a safe place to be who one is. In such an environment, it's amazing to witness each one unfold in their own unique spiritual nature with grace, elegance, and ease in their own time and space. When we add to this the elements of playfulness and seva, which is sacred service to others, we have true spiritual community, Sangha. This is a good place to be. And let's take that into prayer. Yes, I know there is one life, one infinite love, one infinite good, one infinite wholeness that holds all the pieces and parts of its creation within itself and is more than the sum of all those pieces and parts. And if it is all there is, then that wholeness is the truth of my life. It's the truth of the life of every person in this room, every person within the sound of my voice, every person on the planet. Whether they're tuned into it or not, that truth is true. So I speak my word for myself, and if this sounds good to you, think of it for yourselves as well. I speak my word for authenticity, for willingness, for openness to surprise, to the rediscovery of what do I really believe and what do I want to do about it? How do I want to live from it? And whatever choices I make, Spirit says, yes, my beloved, yes, that is who you are. Yes, and yes, and yes. And it feels really good. So in gratitude for how good it feels just to speak this word right now, in gratitude for what shows up in my experience because I have spoken this word, I release it, I let it go, and I let it be. And together we say, and so it is.